gonna get the girls out of the building by 4 a.m. sharp. If we're even 1 minute late, we're screwed. You're coming with me. Get out of my way, Red. I don't think so. Don't do this, Frank. Why not? You know why. Just because you don't do it entitles you to tell me it's wrong? No. Does it make you better than me? People don't have to or deserve to die. You act like this city's a shooting range. Yeah, well, how about you? You act like this city's a playground. You beat up the bullies, you throw them in prison, then they get out a day, a month, whatever later, only to do the exact same thing they were doing before. When I take them down, they stay down. So you just put them in the morgue? Exactly. That's the problem, Frank. Why's that? Redemption, Frank. What is this, a fairy tale? Have you ever had a second thought on what you're doing? Not a damn. Do you realize that you killed a human being and snuffed out their chance to try again? This is a city that has so much bad going on that it needs people like us to do the police's job. What I'm doing is different from you. Well, I'm sorry I don't dress sacrilegiously and act like a jackass. You're the jackass, Frank. There's good in everyone, especially you. What are you doing? You know what this maggot has to do with that place there? He's part of the trafficking ring. I have every reason to waste him. But if you want to stop me... wuss. I hate parks. Is it because of the... Yeah. I can still see my son on the ground, bleeding. I still see that look on Maria. That does something to you. I'm angry, Red. I know what I'm doing. I will bring justice to my family. And no one can stop me. Morning, Foggy. Do I smell perfume? She's a lawyer from JLK&H. That firm's in LA. Client in New York? I guess so. We didn't do a lot of talking after we left the bar. That's my boy! Morning. I brought donuts and Foggy's latte. Thanks, Karen. So, we should discuss the plea deal with the DA. I don't like Frank. For God's sakes, you saw how he kept looking at us the other day? Ugh. I don't understand why he wanted us to take the case. Publicity would be good for the firm. Bad publicity. There's no such thing as bad publicity, Foggy. I just don't have a good feeling about this case. 129 counts of premeditated murder. You have a chance of never seeing daylight again. However, Mr. Murdoch, if you wish to plead guilty, Frank Castle's 3 life sentences may be reduced to 1, with a chance of parole in 115 years. You're taking one hell of a risk, Mr. Murdoch, Mr. Nelson. I understand that. We wish to plead not guilty. How long have you two been practicing law? Mostly pro bono work. You don't know exactly what you're getting yourself into. I believe we do. You need to back off. You took one hell of a fall. Can you get this kind of bruise from a slip? I think you're asking the wrong person, Foggy. What happened to your face? I slipped. Oh. All rise for the Honorable Judge Snyder. Call case number 2631816. The people of New York versus Frank Castle is now in session. How are you doing today, counsel? Good, thank you. How about you, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Murdoch? We're doing fine, Your Honor. Good to hear. Would the defendant like to make their opening statement? Of course. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Frank Castle has been referred to by many names. The boogeyman of rapists, the killer of killers, the Punisher. Now, general opinion of Mr. Castle has been mixed. However, perhaps the facts that we, as well as Mr. Hoffman, present to you today may persuade your judgment to decide the fate of this controversial figure. I would like to call upon Craig Wexler to the stand to give his testimony. Now, Mr. Wexler was one of 36 patrons who fled the Casada Diner on the night of April 16th, when Mr. Castle shot up the diner. Mr. Wexler, would you like to recount the events of that night? It was pretty crowded. I don't remember much, but I do remember the loud popping sounds that nearly took out my ears. A glass shard cut me, and there was this moment where we looked at each other, and I've never been so scared in my life. Thank you, Mr. Wexler. Objection. Mr. Murdoch, you do understand that there were innocent people who were injured due to Frank Castle's disregard for their safety, and nobody who deserved it died that night, right? Are you suggesting that certain people deserve to die? Maybe I am. Because those men Frank killed that night were traffickers. There has never been a single instance of Mr. Castle murdering innocent people. And what makes you so sure that he wouldn't murder a bystander one day? This is no man we're talking about, Mr. Murdoch. This is a bloodthirsty animal. I have no further questions, Your Honor. I would like to call Julie Anderson to the stand. As most of you are aware, on the night of Frank Castle's arrest, Miss Anderson was one of 24 women who were broken out of a human trafficking ring due to Mr. Castle sniping their captors. Miss Anderson, what are your thoughts on Frank Castle? He saved my life. Miss Anderson, you do understand that it was the NYPD that ultimately rescued you from the bloodbath Mr. Castle caused? I don't care. The Punisher saved my life. It was about time that someone had to blow the heads off of those pigs. Thank you, Mr. Punisher. I reckon you remember this medal? It's a Hostile Action Service medal. It's pretty huge, Frank. We have testimonies from your colonel, your sergeant, some veterans that were on the battlefield with you. You're making a mistake. Think about it, Frank. This is a Hostile Action Service medal. This medal is awarded to a soldier who's exposed their life in a close life or death incident. Now, this medal was awarded to Frank when he served in Iraq. As proof of that testament, I'd like to call Sergeant Adam Schnover to the stand. Thank you for everything you've done for this country. Now, I believe you two were in the same platoon, correct? Yes, Mr. Murdoch. Now, on September 20th, 2009, your platoon was ambushed by enemy troops. And Frank, he saved nearly 24 lives. You see, Mr. Murdoch, Frank Castle was one of the warmest people I've ever met. He was a loving father and husband. He was the type of man I would trust with my life. But on the battlefield, Frank was a different person. Especially on 9/20/09, he was like a monster. Took on 20 guys on his own. I believe the family man in Frank died with his family. And Frank on 9/20/09 is who remains. I would like to call Frank Castle to the stand. Frank, how are you doing? What? You see, ladies and gentlemen, Frank Castle has dealt through so much. Witnessing death can do things to a man. Now, I'm sure it did a number on him in his days in Iraq. But I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that it did a number on Frank when he saw his own wife and child mercilessly murdered in front of his own eyes. This trauma can break a man like how that incident broke Frank. That was the biggest load of bull I have ever heard, Red. Do you think of me as insane? Order. Shut the hell up! Those bastards are on the ground because they deserve to be. I'm not crazy because I damn well know what I'm doing. I'm not gonna let these demented wastes of human life continue to do borderline evil acts that the law seems to find excusable. Mr. Castle, please contain yourself. They failed my family, Your Honor. I took it upon myself to correct that. I am the Punisher. I am the last thing any scum in New York will ever see before they go to hell. I have no questions, Your Honor. We'll take a recess in order for the jury to make their decision. We're screwed. He did declare himself the Punisher in a speech that made half the courtroom piss itself. I'm worried about the firm. Your bad publicity is good publicity BS is gonna put N&M under. I'm sorry about taking the case. We did put up a good fight, didn't we? Yeah, a damn good one. In light of Frank Castle's meltdown on the stand, the jury has taken the incident into consideration. While the murders, in some sense, may have been justified by the victims' criminal backgrounds, there is no doubt about the harm Frank Castle poses to society. The jury finds Franklin Castle guilty of all charges. How are you doing, champ? Fine. Can I have a moment? How did you know?
That bruise around your eye, you don't get that by hitting your head on a sink. You get it from having the crap beaten out of you. And what are you gonna do with this information?
If you get on my bad side, who knows? Hey man, my daughter walks safe at night because of you. Just give me the ice cream. You killed my brother. Who? My brother. Do you realize how little that narrows it down? Say hi to him for me. Listen up for your name. Anthony Nichols, present. Billy Russo, present. Frank Castle, present. Who is this?
Red? Frank?
How are you?
I'm looking for this one
Guy. Billy Russo.
Can you give me
Some details about him?
You're blind.
I have my ways. How'd you get your costume back? Broken evidence. Did you find him? Yeah. He's headed to a warehouse on 11th Avenue. Why are you doing this for me? I'm not exactly on board with what you do. I'm just doing it for your family. Oh, when is it gonna be over? What? All of this. When I say it's over. You try something funny and he gets it.
Castle, 35.
He's doing well for a man who fell 3 stories. It will take some time for his recovery, as he's had about 6 facial reconstruction surgeries. Mr. Fisk, I believe that he is still a valuable asset to you, considering his skill set.